in the early days, when we were just starting to get cabin fever, some of my coworkers were really missing the interaction with the patrons and especially with the children. And so I went to BYU and I was a film major, and I had seen this video of Fanny's Dream by, I think it's Nancy Buhner, Carolyn Buhner, and it didn't have somebody like on screen reading it. It was just the pictures and somebody reading aloud. And I was like, well, maybe I could do that, even though I have minimal experience. And I thought, you know, this would be my way of helping everybody try and get a little more connection to our patrons, feel like we're actually doing something for them. So when you have desire to connect with patrons and tiny bit of technical experience and no desire to be on camera, that is what our Bartow storytime videos are about. So I'm gonna start playing the first video I made. I guess you guys won't be able to hear it, but I'm gonna talk about the beginning. When I first started doing these, I was really paranoid about copyright. I was like, I don't want to post this video and then we're going to get sued and the city's going to lose all this money and I'm going to get fired and it's going to be terrible. And I was like paranoid, and I even called my friend's dad, who's a lawyer at Marriott, actually. He's not a copyright lawyer, but he told me, he was like, it's okay, Sarah, calm down. I don't know a lot about copyright law, but I will say that the first step that they take if they find somebody misusing their copyright is to send a cease and desist letter, and then you can stop. And I was like, okay. But then I was still like, okay, I'm not gonna get sued probably, but I still want to be within the law. So I read an article, Jennifer sent me some stuff that she found online that said that that some storytime videos can cut into ebook sales. So I thought the solution would be to get rid of the words on the page and just do the pictures and have the audio. That way nobody could like screenshot the page and then print their own version of it. I mean, it would still be low quality because I tried to make the images as low quality as possible while still being able to see them and appreciate the artwork. But that was my original solution. So you can see I pulled out the individual pictures on a page, and we were zooming into them and having them slide by while somebody was reading it. You could hear the person reading the story. And then Melissa pointed out to me that she really wanted the words to be on the screen the whole time, and that by getting rid of the words, I could actually be considered as changing the book, which is a no-no in copyright stuff. So we moved towards the format that we've been doing now, which has the whole page on the screen and then it flips, and we animate little things on the page. The beginning was rough. I mean, this has been a process. I would say I didn't even really hit a groove into what we were doing until 3 or 4 months in. But it was a bit of a conflict of cultures at first, because I was a film person and I was like, I can't have a picture on the screen that doesn't move for longer than 10 seconds because that's a boring image, like technically speaking. But Melissa pointed out to me, and actually my sister, she's a teacher, I was talking to her about it too, that you know, when you're making these storytime videos, you have to decide what your purpose is. Are you sharing a story to entertain, or are you sharing a story to educate? And I think as libraries, we're somewhere in the middle of that. We want to, when they come in, we want them to have a good time and to be fun, but we also want them to be learning things. And I mean, there's different ways you can do that. You can have crafts that go along with the story so that they start to learn, like, I can't remember the term now, but motor skills and things like that. And you can also have like a funny story or a song in a story that engages them and maybe hopefully gets them interesting in reading. So when we're picking story times, I think it's important to really try and decide what we want our focus to be, like what our purpose is in doing this. And that's sort of what we've been doing and trying to figure out for a while with all of these. And it has been an evolution. This is sort of like the next step in the thing. The whole picture is on the screen, and then it slowly zoomed in so that it was moving, but you can still see all of the words on the screen. And then for certain pages that didn't have, like one side, the picture didn't take up both pages, I would just do one page to focus on and animate something in that one. It'll come up in just a second. Here. So here we get to move the little moldometer. And then on the next page, it's moving that image, but all there on the screen. And then we went to this, which was the whole page is there. And then you'd have little animations like the bird at the top of the screen or the flowers in her hands. So that's what we've been doing for a few months. And I like the result. I hope children like the results. I have to say, they don't comment on Facebook, so I don't know what they've been thinking. I have some of my friends have shared it with their children, and they say they enjoy them, which is good to hear, but not very critical feedback. So this is sort of how our title screen evolved. The first one was clean, but I realized it sort of looked more adult than kid-y. So then in the summer, we were doing 2 videos a week. We had one geared towards 3 to 5-year-olds and one geared towards 6 to 8-year-olds each week. And I had the storybook in the middle in each, so they were consistent. They all looked the same. And then they had each theme and then the cover of the book that we were reading that day. And then now we have the logo on the side with the purple cat and Storytime with Miss Melissa, which actually was inspired by Lakeland's videos. They have their title screen with the little animations. It's really cute and clean, and it sort of is like a brand but not a brand. And so I wanted to show the statistics. I hope y'all can see them. This is sort of, since we started to now, the engagements we've had on Facebook. It's not the views. Facebook, the views are anybody who's seen just 3 seconds of the video, and so we don't count those for our stats. But that's another reason we changed the beginning, is during the summer we had a bit too much at the beginning of the video. It would take like a minute to get into the story, and it seemed like that wasn't working as well, especially if they're only seeing 3 seconds. So now we try to get very quickly into the story. And as you can see at the beginning, it's pretty high, and then it tapered off towards the end of the summer, and then August we weren't doing any. So when we started up again in September, we got a lot of hits again at the beginning. And I'll show you, this is some of the results. That's like my own thing, not technically official, but these are the ones that I personally shared on Facebook. I don't know about any of my other friends, which ones they shared exactly, but you can tell that they all have a decent number, and some of the highest numbers were ones that were shared. And I will say, let's see, this one, our views had kind of dropped a bit, and I shared this one with my sister's sister-in-law, and her mother's a teacher. So that one sort of exploded in the views and the engagements went back up. And I think it's because she's a teacher, so her followers or her friends were people who have children that would want to watch these videos. So I think one lesson is you got to find the right people to be friends with on Facebook and to follow you, who are actually involved and will watch and share them, because we make these videos because we want to help our patrons, to connect with them and to give them a good experience. and that can't happen if they can't see them. But so there's that, and these are just since August. The black bar is the ones that are posted on our website. So one of the other ways I tried to protect against copyright infringement is we post them only on Facebook and our website, and only for a week, so that they have a limited time out there for somebody to take them and download them and do anything with them, which does limit the time people can watch them, but hopefully will protect us against any future lawsuits. You can see the website stats are sort of at the same. I think there's some people who check regularly, and that's where they go. And then the Facebook ones, it depends on the shared. The high one, over 11.9, that was one that I shared with a friend. But also, that was the Finding Kindness video. The first video was just our first one back, and it had a lot of hits. And the third video that has another spike is a Curious George video. So I think another lesson that we've learned is that relevancy, like topical videos, could do really well. Choosing a story that's relevant to the times. It's the Finding Kindness, especially in November when you're thinking about Thanksgiving and with everything going on, the election had just happened. The video before that on 11.2 was a book about voting, and I sort of expected it to do better than it did, and so that was kind of interesting to see. And also another interesting thing is holidays doesn't seem to have as much of a draw as I expected it to, because we did 3 Halloween stories in October and they had sort of lower stats. I mean, it could just be that it was October and people were busy in school and just not going on Facebook or watching videos as much anymore, but that's something to, I guess, compare with other years. So I guess as like a summary, the items on the left are more towards the technical aspect. If you were interested in making videos like this, that would be tips for helping you. But these are, I guess, tips that I think I've learned that could help everyone. Picking books that are topical. Relevancy cannot be underestimated in getting the interest of your audience. And something personal. If you love the book, then the audience will hear it in your voice and see it in your face. I tried to watch some of what all of y'all are doing, and they're really wonderful, sharing some good stories. And I liked the use of puppets, and I saw a lot of songs and singing, and I think that's very brave of you. I have absolutely no confidence in my singing voice. So I applaud everyone who goes out and does that. And I enjoyed them, but topical and personal. And then I thought I'd open it up for the Q&A. Jennifer wanted this to be a round table, shooting back and forth any questions you might have for me, if you're interested in learning more about the process. So if we have time, I can go into some of the other cool stuff we've done that's more technical than general. But yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate all of this information and just all the time that you've took in putting this together for us. I think we do. Let's open it up to questions. Please feel free if you have a question. In fact, I see one right now in the chat from Kylie. So please feel free to continue to put questions in the chat and we'll share those with Sarah. And so Kylie asks, what program did you use to create the videos?
Okay, yes. So I used 2 programs. Pixlr is an online free photo editing site. And so what we did is I scanned the books on our scanner in the back here, and then to get the whole thing, you sort of have to do the whole screen, and it has stuff that you don't need. So then I would crop the photos, and if the book was too wide to fit on the copier, the scanner at once, then I would combine the photos to use them. And then once they were all ready, I would use PowerPoint to make the videos. So those were the 2 main programs that I used. I can go into that process more if people want, or later, I'm not sure. It can get sort of technical, and if you're not very computer savvy, it could get confusing. But Pixlr and PowerPoint are the two that I used. We are somewhat limited in the animations that are available because we can only use what PowerPoint has programmed into them. I thought about maybe finding another video editing software. The ones that I used in school, A, I was never really that good at them, and B, they can get kind of complicated, and they're not really animation ones, they're for film, and these are more of an animation because you're using 2D images. So this is what I'm using.
Okay, I have another question. Did you record the voice over the PowerPoint, or did you do it slide by slide? How does that work?
So what happens is me and Melissa will record separately. I just use an app on my phone to record, and she will read the book, and we have a script. So there's like the intro and the outro that's like, this is the book we're reading, and we're doing it in honor of World Kindness Day, for example, or anything. And then she'll read the book in its entirety, and then I will just take that audio file and I'll put it into that PowerPoint, and then I'll time it. So there's a function on PowerPoint that you can rehearse a slideshow. You can rehearse the timings. So the audio will start at the beginning, and I'll just click at the right times, and then it'll save all of those times, and then I export it as a video. So we just have one audio file. My sister, when she watched the videos, she's giving me feedback. She said, like, having some sound effects might be cool. And I'm like, yes, that could be cool, but also more complicated to add more audio files on top of just the one going. So anybody who has some experience, like, if you want to try it, I mean, we've done some. We did a video. There was an old dragon who swallowed the night, and there's a horse that clip-clops in it, and so I did the sort of clapping thing on my lap that gets recorded in the video. But yeah,
I noticed that when you post your stories at the beginning of the week, and you typically just have them up for a week's time. Explain
yes.
why you made that decision then to take them down after a week.
When we first were posting them, we just sort of kept them up, and then in the summer we would post them and then keep them up for a month, so they would stay up for 4 weeks. And then when it got time to do stats, it was a giant mess. I didn't deal with the stats personally, but I saw the struggles that Carrie and Melissa were going through trying to figure out, okay, like for this month, because you know, you could post it in June and then it's there for the last 2 weeks of June and the first 2 weeks of July. Oh, that's interesting. So it's like, which stats came in June, which stats came in July? Did we just not count them until July when we take it down? And it just sort of became a mess. So we decided we're going to post them at the beginning of the week and take them down at the end of the week, and that's going to be the stats for that video. So it's mostly the statistics trouble that led to just having it up for a week. But also, you don't want it out there too long. The longer it's out there, again, the more people can take it and do something with it.
Thank you. I have another question. Let's see, or actually it might be a comment. Let's see, okay. Kylie said that through her research, Animoto or Lumen 5 is a great online program for video editing as well.
I'll have to do some research into those, see what they work, like how they work and stuff.
Thank you for that feedback, Kylie. You know, thinking about the criteria and what you consider before selecting a book. I know Nancy has worked with you in developing the virtual bilingual stories. And we work on this every week on making decisions on what books to select based on some of the criteria and some of the limitations that are provided by the publisher of the book. Are there any other kind of criteria or some things that we may want to consider if we're thinking about doing something like this? just to help us in our planning.
Okay, yeah, if you were thinking about doing story times like this with less on-screen time, like scanned images instead of video. Let me see, is that my next slide? I'll just go back. So, on the left, uncomplicated pictures. The more complicated the images, the harder it is to manipulate. I'll show you. Okay, so this is one that we did, and you can see it's just a white background. So, I'm strong. I'm a fearless, mighty, magnificent mountain. I wish you could hear the sounds. The white background allows you to take the image on it and remove it, and then you can move it around on the page. So you can have him fall, and he can move, and the stick can go across the screen. And so the less complicated the pictures, the more you can do with them as far as editing and stuff. And even if it's not a white background, this one, let's see, the horse moves. And then on the right, look like that. Oh, that's why. It normally, can I pause this? No. So for the dragon one, that's on a standard one, and then I put it into a widescreen, so he doesn't actually fall right at the mouth. But because the background is pretty simple, it's not white, but it's pretty plain, that allows for the movement. And then also less word count. The less words on a page, the less time it's on screen. So then the less time you have to fill. I thought that longer videos might not do as well, but it actually didn't seem to have as much an effect on the stats. This one, right, the third one on this one that's really tall, that is actually one of our longer videos. Let me see, it was 5.5 minutes, and the one after that was 7.5 minutes. The second one we did during the summer, it's the, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it's the dark one right here. That was almost 11 minutes, and it still had a decent number of engagements. So as far as I can tell, the length of the book hasn't had an effect on whether people will sit through the whole thing or not.
Let's see. Another question for you. How do you market your virtual story time videos? So how do you get the word out?
We basically just post them. I'm not sure how to get the word out. We've been so busy. I don't know if somebody knows social media stuff, how to get out there. I would imagine finding people, like I said, to share it with. The ones in the summer and even lately that have done the best were ones that I shared with my sister's mother-in-law, because she has the friends and they all have kids and they're teachers and they're interested in these videos. So I think just finding the right people to share them with. And then also, I mean, I guess word of mouth. The people who watch them tend to know me. So they're like, oh, we want to support Sarah. And I'm like, please watch these.